So what if I told you that I avoided the Las Vegas Strip this one day of my whole life because I was afraid of getting cancer, but that a huge gathering on the Strip might have unknowingly just exposed themselves to that very risk? Now, you'd probably call me crazy, but in the early morning hours of October 9th, 2024, the Tropicana Hotel was imploded. And for the first time ever, unlike the fanfare of past demolitions, this implosion was cloaked in secrecy. No cheering crowds, no flashing cameras. The public kept far, far away. What's even stranger, officials, they're keeping tight-lipped about the reasoning behind all this secrecy. No explanations, simply a release to the media that they were actively trying to keep people away with its early morning timing and countless blockades. So I asked myself, what gives? I mean, the previous implosions on the Strip welcomed spectators, even turning demolitions into a public spectacle. So why is the Tropicana's implosion any different? Could the implosion pose a legitimate public health risk? One maybe linked to cancer?
All right, Ted, so the implosion does not come without risk, of course. Exposure to tiny little particles after the building implodes could impact the health of those around it. So overnight, along with that dust advisory we're telling you about, the Excalibur Hotel and Casino is sending a note to its guests to stay inside during the implosion because of any kind of moving debris.
Smaller the particles, right? The higher the chance of this going very deep into the lungs. And anyone is in the area, or anyone has to be in the area, I would say they'd have to wear a mask, or tourists or whatnot wandering into that area inadvertently and getting exposed. I probably wouldn't advise any of the guests to go swimming until something is done to check the water quality or safety.
In this episode of Not Leaving Las Vegas, we'll delve into the mysterious circumstances surrounding the Tropicana's final moments. We'll explore its troubled past and question why there's more to this story possibly than meets the eye. In our research, we uncovered its entanglements with organized crime to its proposed replacement by a new baseball stadium that might very well never materialize. So join me as I uncover the secrets hidden within one of Las Vegas' oldest hotels. So if you're ready for this as I am, let's go. So how's it going, everybody? My name is Steven, and this one's kind of hard to watch. My wife Caroline and I had our very first date at the Tropicana some 20 years ago. I mean, this property, it just has so much, history to it, right? I mean, Las Vegas is a storied tradition of turning demolitions into a spectacle. But something about this demolition just doesn't make sense. Does anybody remember the Stardust Hotel's grand finale in 2007 or the Frontier's dramatic descent in 2008? Thousands gathered to witness these icons crumble and celebrate the city's relentless evolutions. But this time, as I said, things are different. The Tropicana's final moments will unfold in the shadows. Authorities have cornered off the area, enforcing strict no-people zones and pushing spectators far beyond the usual safety perimeters. And officially? Well, no official reason for the secrecy was actually given. All we know is that the people in charge have noted that they want the public nowhere near the event. This has resulted in jacked up insane room rates and crowds pushing and clamoring for viewing spots from nearby parking garages. So instead of celebrating the event and holding it on a weekend, they're pushing it into the wee hours of the slowest day of the week at the slowest time of the year. Instead of getting literally millions of dollars of free press on social media as everyone and their grandmothers share their own clips, they've opted to run the event as a live stream on the website and advocate people stay far away and watch online. What's even more troubling? The reported $1.2 million of money given to the project for this event. Yeah, that money is essentially money from taxpayers, you see. It was set aside for the upcoming stadium planned to replace the building itself. And for the Tropicana, this seems to be par for the course. To say the property has a checkered past would kind of be an understatement. To understand the strange final days of the property, it would serve us to look at the strange first days and how the property was nearly doomed to fail before it even opened its doors. So imagine it's 1955. Developer Ben Jaffe, a Miami hotelier, arrived in Vegas and saw an untapped potential of the Las Vegas Strip. Jaffe, who ironically came from the Fontainebleau, Miami, dreamed of creating the most luxurious resort on the Las Vegas Strip. He set out to create his vision, the Tropicana, a literal desert oasis on the south end of the Las Vegas Strip. However, Jaffe soon encountered financial difficulties. You see, the Tropicana wasn't the only property rising from the desert, and because of this, construction costs had skyrocketed. Regulatory hurdles caused delays, and everywhere Jaffe turned, he seemed to encounter some kind of new roadblock. Struggling to secure enough funding to complete his ambitious project, he was forced to seek alternative, additional, ambitious investors. This opened the door for individuals with ties to organized crime to step in and provide the necessary capital. Enter mob figures like Meyer Lansky and other mob associates who saw instead an opportunity to expand their influence on the Las Vegas Strip. While their investments ensured the Tropicana's completion, it also entangled the hotel in a web of illicit activities. The casino, like most of that era, became a hotspot for skimming operations, where profits were siphoned off before they could officially be recorded and reported to the IRS. In the 1970s and 1980s, federal investigators began to peel back the layers of corruption. The Tropicana's management faced indictments, and the hotel's reputation suffered due to its association with organized crime. Stories circulated about hidden rooms and secret tunnels used for clandestine meetings and illicit transactions. Things we'll now never know. Despite numerous ownership changes and costly renovations aimed at shedding its tainted image, the Tropicana couldn't escape its past. Newer and more extravagant resorts were springing up along the Strip, making it difficult for the aging hotel to compete. Efforts to modernize were hampered not only by financial constraints, but also by structural issues, most notably the widespread use of asbestos in its original construction. More on that later. By the 2000s, the Tropicana had become a relic, a fading flower in a garden of blooming giants. The once glittering jewel of the Strip was now struggling to keep its doors open, haunted by the ghosts of its tumultuous history. But I hope we aren't history after this video's done, so why not hit subscribe? We take a lot of time to research, edit, and craft these unique Vegas content pieces for you, so a subscription would go a long way. By the way, what's your favorite memory of a long-gone Vegas property? Be sure to tell us in the comments below and have your say. But let's get back to the Trop for a moment. You see, in recent years, the Tropicana faced challenges that further jeopardized its future. The COVID-19 pandemic struck Las Vegas hard in 2020, forcing casinos and hotels across the Strip to shut down completely. Tropicana closed its doors in March 2020 like the rest, and like many establishments, it suffered significant financial losses due to months of inactivity. The pandemic amplified existing issues. Already struggling to compete with newer, more extravagant resorts, Tropicana found it increasingly difficult to attract guests in a market slowly recovering from global upheaval. Travel restrictions, health concerns, shifting consumer preferences, they all contributed to the declining revenues. Now, amidst these challenges, Bally's Corporation announced in April 2021 that it would acquire the Tropicana Las Vegas. The deal sparked speculation about the property's future. Would Bally's invest in revitalizing the aging hotel, or did they have different plans altogether? By 2023, the picture began to clear. Bally's Corporation entered into an agreement with the Oakland Athletics, who were exploring relocation options due to unresolved stadium issues in Oakland, California. The proposal was to demolish the Tropicana and build a state-of-the-art baseball stadium on the site, bringing Major League Baseball to Las Vegas. The announcement, of course, generated excitement and controversy. Supporters argued that a new stadium would boost the local economy, create jobs, add new entertainment dimensions to the city. Critics questioned the wisdom of demolishing a historic landmark and raised concerns about financial implications for the state. Financial uncertainties soon cast a shadow over the project. The estimated cost of constructing the stadium was enormous, and debates over public funding intensified. Nevada's legislators grappled with allocating taxpayer money to subsidize the stadium, leading to heated discussions and public scrutiny. Moreover, the Athletics' move to Las Vegas was not a guaranteed outcome. Negotiations encountered hurdles, and delays raised doubts about whether the relocation would happen at all. The uncertainty left the Tropicana in limbo, its fate tied to a project that may very well never materialize. Even to the time of this video recording, Athletics owner John Fisher is still doing the media rounds, ensuring everybody that he can hold up his end of the bargain and find the funding the team itself needs in order to make the new stadium materialize. While at the same time, the clock has struck midnight and the Tropicana is no more. So while asbestos has been linked to cancer as far back as the 1950s, the Tropicana was said to be laden with it. This raised serious concerns about the demolition process. How practical is it to remove enough asbestos to make the implosion safe? What sorts of risks does it pose to have asbestos fibers become airborne during such a massive demolition? Asbestos removal, or abatement as it's called, is a meticulous and costly process. It involves sealing off contaminated areas, using specialized equipment, and ensuring that all hazardous materials are properly contained and disposed of according to strict regulations. For a building as large as the old Tropicana, complete removal of asbestos could take months or even years, costing tens of millions of dollars. Now, given the time and the expense, was it feasible for the demolition team to remove all the asbestos before the scheduled implosion? Or were compromises being made to stay on schedule and within budgets? The lack of transparency from officials only fuels this speculation. Moreover, the risks of airborne asbestos are well documented. When asbestos-containing materials are distributed, tiny fibers can be released into the air. If inhaled, these fibers can lodge in the lungs, leading to serious diseases like mesothelioma, lung cancer, and asbestosis. Now, an implosion could create a massive dust cloud, potentially carrying these dangerous fibers far beyond the demolition site.
Smaller the particles, right, the higher the chance of this going very deep into the lungs. And anyone is in the area, or anyone has to be in the area, I would say they'd have to wear a mask, or tourists or whatnot wandering into that area inadvertently and getting exposed.
Is this why the public is being kept so far away from the implosion site? We're just asking questions, not making accusations. Are the extreme restrictions in place to prevent potential exposure to airborne asbestos fibers? And if so, why hasn't this been openly communicated to the public? In previous demolitions of asbestos-containing buildings, strict safety measures were of course implemented, but the public was still allowed to witness the event from safe distances.
Steve Wynn orchestrated a live TV spectacular as the old strip resort came crashing down to make way for the Bellagio. Then 2 years later, it was the Landmark coming down, even making it in the movie Mars Attacks. The Landmark's distinctive architecture where that one stood is now part of the Las Vegas Convention Center. And those implosions were followed by the Sands and the Hacienda in 1996, the Aladdin in 1998. And that was the long shutdown El Rancho. That implosion was in October of the year 2000. The Turnberry Towers grew out of that rubble.
And for example, during the implosion of the Desert Inn in 2001, which also contained asbestos, controlled procedures were followed without necessitating such extreme exclusion zones. So why is the Tropicana implosion shrouded in such secrecy? Is there something unique about the situation that warrants unprecedented precautions? Could there be additional hazardous materials involved, or is there something within the hotel structure that officials don't want the public to see? Now, as the clock has struck for the Tropicana and it is no more, the questions surrounding its implosion have only deepened. The extensive presence of asbestos within its walls presents a significant health risk, potentially explaining the unprecedented secrecy and strict safety measures. The asbestos dilemma adds a poignant chapter to the Tropicana's troubled history. From its financially strained beginnings and entanglements with organized crime to its struggles in the modern era, the hotel has always been a symbol of both the allure and the shadows of Las Vegas. Now its final act is shrouded in mystery, much like many of its secrets it held over the decades. In the end, the Tropicana's demise serves as a cautionary tale about the cost of secrecy and the importance of addressing environmental and health concerns head-on. It's a final reminder that beneath the city's dazzling lights and grand facades, there are stories, some even celebrated, others hidden, that continue to shape its legacy. Now, I want to thank you for watching this episode and thank my Patreon members who you will see on the screen right now. If you want to help the channel grow, you can consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Also consider our Patreon, where we post a 20-minute long vlog every week, as well as other materials. That's right, for less than the price of a large coffee, you too can make it into the end of one of my videos and support the channel. My name is Steven, and I'm not leaving Las Vegas. Now's the time of the video where I say 3, 2, 1, click. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, and click!